Thank you for joining me on this edition. Kindly do well to like, subscribe, and share this video to your loved ones. I remain your propertiser, Ayedu Toluwalashe. On this edition, I'm going to be talking about the landlord rights and the tenant rights. Often times there are a lot of arguments and disagreements between the landlords and the tenants, and this is as a result of the lack of understanding of both of their rights. And so on this edition, I'm going to be talking about both the rights of the landlord and that of the tenants. So please grab a seat and sit as we look into the rights of these two parties. First, I'm going to be talking about the rights of the tenants. And first on my list is the right to a property. As a tenant, you have the right to inquire and to rent any type of property you desire without any discrimination from any landlord in any form, be it your color, your religion, your person, or whatever form of discrimination it might be. You have the right to any property. Two is the right to tenancy agreement. As a tenant, you have the right to request for tenancy agreement even before making payment for your desired property. You have the right to request from the landlord or the estate agent in charge of the property that you want to see a copy of the agreement before making payment for the property. You also have the right, even after payment, to have a copy of the agreement between you and the landlord. Three of your rights is the right to receipt of payment. As a tenant, you have the right to inquire and to collect the receipt of your payment for rent, and this receipt should contain your name, the name of the landlord or the estate agent in charge, the amount you have paid, and the duration to which the rent is going to be for. This should be contained in the receipt of payment. Four, the right to exclusive possession. After payments have been done by a tenant, as a tenant, you have the right to exclusive possession, meaning that nobody can come to disturb you in that your apartment. Even the landlord does not have the right to enter the apartment without first collecting or giving you a notice ahead for entrance. So as a tenant, you have the right to exclusive possession of the property you have paid for. Five is the right to habitable premises, meaning that as a tenant, you have the right to request from the landlord whatever damages, whatever thing that has happened in the apartment. You have the right to request from the landlord to repair so that the house can be habitable for you. So you have the right to habitable premises without disturbance from any form at all. Six is the right to eviction notice. As a tenant, you have the right to eviction notice. So whenever the landlord wants you to leave his or her premises, you have the right to request for an eviction notice, and this eviction notice first is in relative to the terms of agreement, meaning that if you are a yearly tenant, your eviction notice is 6 months. If you are a tenant that pays every six months, you have a 3 months notice. If you are a tenant that pays every quarterly, you have a 1 month notice. So the landlord does not have right to send you away from the property without eviction notice. And 7 on my list is the right to a compulsory 7 days premises recovery, meaning that even after the notice of eviction, you have the right to request for a 7 days notice of compulsory premises recovery from the landlord before leaving the premises. So these are the basic rights of the tenants. Landlords also have their own rights vis-a-vis the tenants, and these are the rights of the landlord. One, right not to issue the quit notice, and this right is based on the terms agreed in the tenancy agreement, meaning that if, for example, in the agreement you had with the tenant, there's a fixed period to say after 6 months you are to leave the premises. You don't need, it's not compulsory to give the tenant a quit notice again, because from the terms of agreement made, there is a fixed period of time the tenant is supposed to use. And so tenancy agreement is a very critical part when dealing with your tenant. And so that's the first right as a landlord. The second right as a landlord is the right to renew or not renew rent. So as a landlord, you have the right to either want to renew the rent of a tenant or not to renew the rent of a tenant. And this can be due to the characters, or possibly when the tenant has done something contrary to the agreement both parties had initially. 3, the landlord has the right to review tenancy. And so as a landlord, it is within your rights to review the tenancy of your apartment. That is within your jurisdiction. 4 is the right not to reimburse your tenant, meaning that peradventure if a tenant had gone ahead to do some particular renovations in the house and did not carry the landlord along or the estate agent along and didn't collect due approval, as a landlord, it is within your right to withhold and reimburse tenant because you did not give go ahead for such renovation or such repairs are done. Right to receive and to collect rent. It is within your jurisdiction as a landlord to collect your rent and to receive your rent, and you can also delegate anybody, either an estate agent or any of your family member, with proper documentation, proper, we call it power of attorney, to collect rent on your behalf. And number 6 is the right to inspect the property. As a landlord, it is within your right to want to inspect your property, but this inspection of property should be on approval with the tenant. You cannot just barge into the privacy of the tenant. The tenant needs to give you an approval before you inspect the property. However, it is within your right as a landlord to notify the tenant for inspection of the property. And so these are the basic rights of the tenant and the landlord. I hope you've been able to learn from this, and then please share, subscribe, and follow us on this page. I remain your property czar. See you again next time.